welcome back to the shop. So today we are going to go over adjusting parking brakes, as we mentioned from the last video. So today here we are at the trainer and we are going to go over parking brake. So here is the parking brake, and this is the training board. So we have the rear brakes on the rear two axles, and then we have the front two parking brakes. So what we're going to do is, in order to adjust the brakes, you have to adjust the S-cam.
That's wrong.
So here we have the camshaft that would go in to the brakes. Here you have your parking brake. Here you have your rod for the stroke. But this gets measured by DOT, so you have to have a certain amount of stroke on the rod. You have to have a proper angle from the cam to the rod. Now this particular cam, this is a manual adjust cam. It's got this retractable collar that locks it in place. Now these particular cams have to be pretty much adjusted on a daily basis, because on just the tractor itself, if you have a 20% failure on your brakes, which means basically 3 or more of your axles or 3 or more of your brakes are out of adjustment, you have a fail, and you'll have to park it and get that adjusted. On manual adjust brakes, these are not allowed on any trucks that are 1996 or newer, so you'll only find these on older tractors if you see them at all. Now they go to self-adjusting slack adjusters, which you can still, there is a nut there that you can adjust. One other version of this kind of slack adjuster is that there'll be one manual adjust that'll have a pull pawl, and that's a pull pawl that you have to pop out. It's basically a pin that's set on a spring that holds the teeth in place for the adjustment. So this particular one has a locking sleeve, so in order to adjust it, you have to take your wrench, you have to slide it in and push that sleeve in order to make your adjustments. And then when you pull it off, you want to make sure that that sleeve comes forward. Sometimes that sleeve will not pop forward if it's not properly greased. So you want to make sure that it is properly greased. You want to make sure that sleeve comes forward after you adjust it. Now, in order to do an adjustment, since I only have the training board and these and the camshaft really doesn't go to any brakes, I'm going to talk this through it, and then I'm going to cut over and show you brakes and show how it's done. So basically what you're doing is you come over to the cam, you push this in, and you turn this clockwise. Now this has to be turned clockwise until the brakes are pretty much against the drum, and it's nice and tight. You won't be able to turn it any further. Then once you have that, you're going to back it off between a quarter to a half turn to back those brakes off that drum, and that will give you the proper play. So a quarter turn, pretty much start here, and you would go till you're straight down. That's 1/4 turn. So some will go a half turn. You can either do 2 quarter turns depending on the room that you have to work with, or you could do 1 full half turn. So that would be, and see here, not properly locked. The collar didn't come forward. So there we go. Collar is now forward. So one of the other things you want to look at is you want to look at your stroke. The stroke is referring to this piece here. So this is your parking brake. Comes out through the push rod that locks to the slack adjuster. The slack adjuster is on a set of splines to the S-cam, and then the S-cam goes and operates your brake. It's basically that S-shaped figure. So as this turns, that S will move, and it'll spread out those rollers and push those brakes into the drum.
That's right.
When you have that out, you'll want to check, make sure everything's properly greased. You want to make sure your splines are not bent, and that everything goes on the spline. So when you have it apart, you got to make sure that the slack adjuster slides properly on the splines. And in most cases, you want anti-seize to be on that to keep it from locking up. So in dealing with this, the measurement that you're taking and dealing with your stroke is you're taking from right here, and when you apply the brake, it should come out. Now, with the proper application, that's going to be 1.25 inches up to 2 inches. Anything more than that, you either have not enough on your brake shoes, or you basically have a problem with your brake. On certain brakes, there's a little bit of color that's put onto the rod. If you start to see that color exposed, that right there is showing you have too much adjusting out. So you'll have to go in and take your truck in for an adjustment and have your brakes worked on. So one of the other things we want to talk about is the angle, showing right here. So this angle right here, you want this angle to be at 90 degrees. Anything less than 80 degrees is considered a failure. Anything more than 100 degrees, so an obtuse angle, would be also considered a failure. So you have some room. So between 90, or basically between 80 and 100, anything in between that is basically okay. But you want this angle right here to be at 90 degrees. That will tell you that this is situated and that you are getting the most pressure from your brake, from your parking brake drum to your slack adjuster and out to your brakes. You're getting the most amount of pressure that you can with the proper angle. If you have it basically too far out or too far in, you're not getting that full adjustment in order to set in that brake. All right. So there's a proper adjustment of a manual slack adjuster, and adjusting your S-cam positions and your extension. So, all right. So thank you for joining me for this video, and you all stay dirty.